So, as you know, we say hi Tokyo Tops.
Yep.
And this is entirely up to you.
No, I don't want to reveal my.
Okay. Hi Tokyo Tops.
Hi Tokyo Gays.
Today we have Sean with us.
So hi, I'm Sean. I'm Singaporean. I founded a website called Dear Straight People. It started as really just a blog, but then over the years it kind of grew into, I guess, more like a media platform. So Dear Straight People is on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And last year we embarked on our biggest project yet, which was to produce Getaway, which is made history as Singapore's first gay BL web series.
Is this your first time in Japan?
This is my second time in Japan, but my first time in Tokyo.
How do you like it, Tokyo, so far?
It's great except for the wet weather. I don't know if that's normal. It's like raining every single day.
We have a lot of questions. I watched that drama and I was thinking like, okay, there are some similarities that I can relate to and some things that I can't relate to. I'm like, oh, is this how it is in Singapore?
Yep.
And so we thought we would discuss some of the differences in gay life and culture between the two countries. Because you're saying this is the first web series, BL web series, in Singapore.
Right.
I was going to ask you how gay people are treated in media, but when you say it that way, it makes it almost sound like they're not even talked about.
Okay, so in Singapore, it is actually in the legislation, it is in the law that mainstream media cannot produce positive depiction of the LGBT community.
Wow.
So by mainstream media, it means like print, it means TV, it means movies. So I get away with all this stuff because my content's on YouTube, on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and it doesn't apply there. The only kind of representation that you see of gay people on like mainstream media, like a Singaporean TV drama. So this actually happened just like quite recently, 2 or 3 years ago. There was a gay character in the drama. That gay character was a pedophile, he had AIDS, and then he gets sent to jail. This was very normal like 10 years ago in Singapore, like no one was saying anything, but I guess now because people are like more outspoken, when mainstream media tried to produce a drama with that kind of character, it became an uproar. So the LGBT community was like an uproar, you know, like why are you still portraying such a negative depiction of this character? And so that's really the only form of positive LGBT media representation we get in Singapore.
Well, yeah, it doesn't sound very positive. Yeah.
So basically, the only positive representation of the LGBT community you see is on new media.
Well, so how about, is Netflix something considered as a new or old media?
Netflix is considered, well, I think it's a cross between the two, but the thing about Singapore is that because our population is so small, Netflix and other streaming giants have zero interest in Singapore production, so we don't get any like original Netflix TV shows, whereas I think Japan, you get it, right?
A lot,
Yeah,
yes.
so like Netflix invests money to produce Japanese content, and they invest money like Indonesia, Philippines and stuff.
I mean, yeah, and then now I guess if we're going to compare to Japan, I mean, Japan's full of gay content. We talk a lot about how representation is getting better. It was pretty bad, similar to what you were saying about like gay people only being depicted in negative ways. I think in Japan traditionally, and even now on some mainstream TV, gay people are treated, there's something to be laughed at.
Okay.
So it's a comedy thing. And I think that that's changing slowly now, especially getting back to the idea of BL. I think BL is really taking off in more of a mainstream way and helping change people's perception, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely for sure. But I would say BL has always been like a very strong culture in Japan. Like since I was young,
started here, right?
it started here.
I think it's mainstream now, though.
It's pretty mainstream. I would say it's mainstream in the same way that K-pop is mainstream.
Yeah.
is
Like
true.
K-pop has always been around. Yeah,
Now
exactly.
More people are aware of it.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
In the drama, we have the character Sam, and he gets into a fight with his hot daddy dad.
That dad was very buff.
Yeah, he's a hot daddy.
The t-shirt was popping.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So they get into a fight because Sam comes out. That leads to the rest of him running away to find his gay uncle in Thailand. Is this a common narrative in Singapore? Like, how hard would it be for people in the LGBT community to come out, and what effect would it have on their families?
Singapore, like being an Asian country, there's always this concept of faith. When you're coming out, it's not just affecting you. So from your parents' point of view, they feel like you being gay would bring shame to the family. There are exceptional cases where like the families of the LGBT Singaporean becomes very accepting. So the majority of Singaporeans, they would either they are closeted or they would slip into what we call a don't ask, don't tell situation. So that's actually kind of like my situation with my parents. So a lot of people are under the impression that I come from a very progressive family because of how out I am. But no. So actually, my parents, one of the first things they told me when I came out was to not tell anyone. They don't know about Dear Straight People and like the fact that everyone around me actually knows, because my parents are very traditional, so they don't use social media. But recently, because I'll be appearing in a documentary about the LGBT community that's going to air on national TV soon, and that's a medium that my parents will watch. So I told my dad about all this, and he took it quite okay. But then his reaction was like, don't tell mom. And bear in mind that I came out to my parents 5 years ago. So it's not new information to them that I'm gay.
But I thought you said that there are no positive depictions about...
So in mainstream media, there has to be a balance. So when I was contacted for this documentary, I thought it was going to be a LGBT positive thing. There was once, like I was talking to a producer and she was telling me, oh, she's a bit worried about how the LGBT community will receive this documentary. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, because from my point of view, when they feature me, I'm just talking about very positive things. But then later, apparently, they went to interview the religious community as well, talking about why we shouldn't accept them. So the one time that we get a documentary, it has to be balanced.
So they can be like being gay is good, is happy, is like is liberating, but they can
So
say
they can't be positive, but they can be neutral.
So it's this exists, but also this does.
So yeah, so they have to show like a
process.
balanced argument. But I didn't know that until like when I was really deep in the shooting.
But it's not illegal to be gay in Singapore, is it?
It has not been illegal to be gay in Singapore since last year.
Having gay sex was illegal.
Up until last year. Section 377A is the law that criminalizes consensual sex between adult men in Singapore.
What about women?
Oh, women's legal. Like it's legal to be. For the longest time, the Singapore stance was that we will not enforce it, but the law will be there. But then last year they repealed it. So I feel like now we're in a transitionary phase where like the LGBT community, we're not sure what that actually means. So like for example, for Getaway, that was nominated for like Content of the Year at the Pinwheels Awards, which is an award organized by the National Broadcaster of Singapore. So when we were nominated, that was very surprising because this would not have happened before. But then with the repeal, it seems like things are slowly starting to move. But then with the documentary, they're doing the two sides thing. So like I think it's just a transitional phase where like people are not sure how far we can push.
I feel like now Japan's actually at a
Quite
good
progressive.
spot. Yeah.
Singaporean, I feel like Japan is very progressive.
But I feel
because
like
it's not illegal in Japan.
it is not. But I feel like Singaporeans are more open about it when you're gay.
No.
Not really.
No. So for example, in Singapore, you have to serve national service. Every year you get called back to do reservists.
For like additional training or something.
Yeah, for like a refresher. So like it can be like 2 weeks each year. The army is a very, very straight environment. Like everyone's like, hey bro, what are you doing? So when I'm in that situation, I don't necessarily tell people I'm straight, but I also try to, I don't necessarily tell myself. So I feel like you have to code switch in a way. You have to like be more straight. Or like if I'm in a situation where like I'm taking a taxi and you know the driver's like an old man, I'm not going to be like if he asks me, do you have a girlfriend? I'll be like, oh no, I don't. There will be a lot of situations where no matter how out like someone might seem, they will feel like it's not safe to come out.
Well, actually, I don't know any Singaporean gay guys.
Maybe there's a reason for that.
Maybe that's the reason. I know Malaysian.
Yeah.
But I don't know about how compared to Malaysia.
Malaysia's worse, definitely.
It's worse. So you think Japan is actually better than Singapore in terms
That's
of
really
like,
interesting.
So
Wow.
I think you have your BL dramas and
Well, and that was another.
but BL drama is a fantasy.
No, but
It's not.
this is another question, right? It connects. Is that in Getaway, there's a scene where Sam, Singaporean, is on a date with a Thai guy. His name's Top, right? But he's not a top, anyways, right?
it's not my place to. You can slip into his DM and ask him.
He's hot. I will slip into his
just
DMs.
like
Okay. So there's that scene where Sam from Singapore is on a date with Top from Thailand, and he tries to hold his hand. And Sam's like, what the fuck? And like jumps away. In Singapore, I guess, in the gay community, is that just unthinkable? Like holding your boyfriend's hand in public?
It's very, very rare to see a couple in Singapore hold hands. But when, like in Thailand where I was living, it's so common to just see two guys walk around. No one will. But like in Singapore, you could, but then people will stare.
I mean, here in Japan, I guess the same situation. Well, but I would say like Sam was also a baby gay, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's also another thing.
That's a good
so
point.
like,
That's a good
yeah,
point.
that's
a good
only
point.
not because of Singapore and Thailand.
Sure.
As a baby gay, it takes time to be accepted and accepting yourself, you know?
Sure, but I would say we have lots of friends around us in Japan who hold hands.
Oh, in public places?
Yes. Granted, I will say that it's usually like a foreigner with a Japanese person. I took a taxi home with a guy recently. He was like all over me in the taxi. And the taxi driver was like, whatever. He was just going to his
But I just
destination.
feel like in Japan, do people mind their own business?
Yeah.
So,
They
yeah.
do, right?
yeah.
In Singapore, they don't. So you might get screamed at by like someone. There was this video that went viral quite a few years ago. Basically, it was a girl and she was just wearing like a normal skirt or something, but it wasn't very revealing or something. And then this crazy old lady just came up to her and started hitting her with an umbrella and like, you shouldn't dress like this in public.
Oh, wow.
I have a friend. He's non-binary, so he puts makeup and stuff. And like he was telling me a story about how he was in a bathroom one day and he was just touching up on his makeup, and then this old Chinese man just came up next to him and like splashed water in his face and then just stormed off and like yelled some Chinese vulgarity.
How are people not charged for like this seems like violence. Like I don't understand, like even the old lady hitting someone, like that is something you could literally charge someone for battery for that in Canada. That person attacked me with an umbrella.
I guess you
thing?
could, but I don't know. Like if someone did that to me, I wouldn't think of calling the police.
But okay,
I'd
what
just
if you
be,
took
like, really angry?
what if you took the umbrella back and started beating the old lady?
Then it looks so bad.
Yeah. See, that's all these. It sounds like there's a whole bunch of double standards, the whole like everywhere.
But I also feel like LGBT in Singapore, we kind of grow up knowing that there's discrimination. So when it happens to us,
You take it.
we take it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
tolerate
that's the
it.
thing.
Yeah, we just
I
tolerate
mean,
it.
you just accept like, okay, I'm the weaker one.
That's-
that I deserve
and, like,
the.
you don't
Yeah.
want to blow it up unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
That's like how people being bullied don't call the police or don't tell their parents. That's the same thing.
It's sad, I guess. It represents. It does tell a lot about the general sentiment in Singapore. Also, I'm curious about this as well. In the drama, the first scene is with Top hooking up with this guy who turns out to have a boyfriend.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they're open. It didn't look like they were open. But what does the gay community think about relationships insofar as cheating versus open relationships, monogamy? I know that's complicated,
I
but
think because like I'm older, so my social circle is also slightly older. So we're all like in our 30s. So we're a bit. To us, cheating is not a big deal. It's just not a big deal. Based on me and like my social circle, I think gay people are quite open-minded about relationships, and I feel like at this point of time, I see a lot of throuples forming.
thruples.
Yeah, throuples.
I feel like we've come to the first similarity between Japan and Singapore. Cheating's very common here. Maybe there's a global
I think
gay
it's a global
phenomenon.
gay thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Just becoming sensitive to it.
gay people, like by the time they reach their 30s, they've been through a few failed relationships. So like expectations just get lower and lower.
Yeah. Each one.
I like-
it's just like
My last question, what do you think about being like a content creator for LGBT community in Singapore? Is it quite difficult? Where we do know last year OnlyFans creator Titus Lowe,
Titus Lowe.
like he got captured by the
He got
police.
sent to
He got sent to jail, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, but he's not gay. He's straight, but
queer baiting. He was an exceptional case because there are a lot of OnlyFans creators in Singapore, but he was the only one that was flagged out because someone actually made a police report on him. It's also because he got too big
yeah.
and he got too showy. So he was doing a lot of media interviews talking about how much he was earning, and I guess that made some people jealous. They called a police report, and when the police report is being lodged, the police have to take some kind of action. The thing about OnlyFans in Singapore is that there are a lot of Singaporean OnlyFans creators, but most of them do it anonymously. He was able to become as big as he did because he was one of the few people that was showing his face. Back to that question, like in terms of doing LGBT content in Singapore, which is I guess what I'm doing. It's not the smartest thing to do in the world, but I do think it's getting better. Like Singapore is slightly becoming more open. Like even when I was looking for investors for Getaway last year, this was before the repeal. Like businesses, their first answers was like, and the first question was like, "Is this legal?" So that they don't dare, like they see the potential in it, but they don't dare to invest in it because they're like, "Is this legal? Will I get in trouble?"
Yeah.
So that's why you notice most of our sponsors are foreign companies. Like the main sponsor is like a Thai hotel. Because in Thailand, it wouldn't even be a concern. But in Singapore companies will be like the first thing. But I think that now with the repeal and with Getaway success, if I were to do a second season, I think business will be a bit more open. So they're like, okay, you did it first season and you didn't get thrown in jail, so you should be fine.
Oh, by the way, funny story is that my uncle's gay, and I went to go visit my uncle to learn about gay life. So like, seeing Sam chase and find his gay
Oh,
uncle or
his
whatever,
uncle?
or
Okay.
going to see his gay uncle. I haven't actually got as far where they've seen. I don't.
Okay.
Does he meet his gay uncle?
Yes, he
Oh,
does.
he does. And anyways, I did that actually.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
really funny because I remember my gay uncle telling me things about gay life, like this is what's going to happen to you, and this is the trajectory, and as a gay man, this will change, and this blah blah. And I was very like, no, my gay life's not going to be like that, and like I was very like positive and idealistic, and like now it's everything he said it would be. So he was right. He was right.
It's a universal thing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's like wow. Yeah, it's funny.